Hey, what's going on, everybody? Mindset Marlin here. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 rules of money I wish I learned in my early 20s.
I got $1 billion mindset.
So, recently I've been rereading The Richest Man in Babylon. If you've never read that book, it's an absolute must read. I'm going to have the link down below in the description. This book teaches about the rules of money. See, the Babylonians were one of the richest civilizations, and when we study them, we actually learned what it was they did with their money. So I'm actually going to go through the 5 rules of money, or they say the 5 rules of gold that I learned in this book. The first rule is that a man should save 1/10 of all he earns. So a portion of the money you make is yours to keep. This is such an important principle because ultimately it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's about what you do with your money after you make it. Sometimes people say, I don't make enough money to save, I don't earn enough to be able to put anything away. And here's an interesting fact of life. If you were to get yourself to live off of 90% of what you earn instead of the entire 100%, you'll find that you'll actually get along just as fine, almost as if that percentage is not missing. We often pay everybody else, but we don't pay ourselves. You go to the grocery and you pay the grocery store clerk. You go out to dinner and you pay the restaurant. You buy clothes and you pay the store. You pay the taxes. You pay your mortgage. You pay your car note. You pay everybody else but yourself. If you would make it a habit to pay yourself 1/10 of all that you earn, over time, you will have an accumulation of wealth that you can later go on to invest. The second thing is investing. So the book teaches, as the second rule, is that when you find gold and you get gold and you create a bit of a stockpile of wealth, you want to figure out how to put it to work, how to go and invest it and send that money out for gainful employment so that it can bring back some of its children, it can bring back some of its friends. Now, a wise man would look for investments by getting advice from others who are successfully investing in that venture that they're looking at. It's real easy for people to take their money and to go to the gambling tables or to take it and invest it with people who haven't yet proven their credibility. And then, like that, the money's gone. A wise man who really treats his wealth with care won't invest in something until he or she understands it. The third rule states that money sticks to the people who are carefully watching it, who are good stewards of it. They're not careless with their money. In fact, I remember I read about the Rockefellers, and Rockefeller would actually make his kids come home, and at the end of every day, they would have to open up the books and account for all the money they spent that day, whether it was pennies, nickels, whatever it was. The kids needed to be able to account for where their money went. So money is looking for a good place to stay, and it wants to stay with somebody who's responsible, careful, and cautious of it, not just willy-nilly and throwing it out into the wind. The fourth rule states that money really quickly flows away from the person who just invest it without thinking. That these are the people that are basically gambling in the stock market, people who are buying and trading Bitcoin and digital currencies without actually knowing what they're doing. They're not taking the time to go and get themselves educated. People that are buying real estate who don't know how to find good property, who don't know how to find good location, who don't know how to make sure it's positive cash flow. See, money will run away from that kind of person so quickly that you will wonder how it even came to you in the first place. So you want to make sure that you are not this type of individual. You want to make sure that you're not this type of individual. You'll actually see, like, this last rule, this fifth rule, is pretty similar to the other rules, which basically states that money runs away from the person who's trying to make it produce impossible gains. And what do I mean by when I say impossible gains? Well, I mean, recently we've seen things in the news with scandals of people who are promising these 1,000% returns, 100,000% returns. When you're trying to force money to do something that is not common, that's not sustainable, this is where the money starts to run away from you. These sort of returns just aren't sustainable. It's important that you look over your investments. You look over history. You see, hey, I can expect a 10% return, a 20%, a 30% return. But when someone comes to you and they start saying, hey, look, I can get you a 10,000% return in 2 days, maybe you start to be a little bit cautious. So these are the rules of money. Really, I recommend go and read The Richest Man in Babylon because that book is an absolute must, and I wish I picked it up earlier in my career. Also, comment below, what do you think about these rules? Have you read the book, and what's your favorite rule out of all 5?
I got $1 billion mindset.